So just in case you need the demo, you're here. Okay, just kind of opening up the heart. So again, a throw pillow will work, but you don't want it like too long here. You kind of want a narrow pillow. Okay, a few more breaths. I'm reaching to the back of the room to stretch the underarms for a little extra. So it's kind of like the position of child pose in your arms or down dog. If you want a little extra in the thighs, you could bring the knees open. Some mornings I like to kind of stretch my legs forward. Last few breaths here, guys.
Remember that when we're thinking muscular core work, there's really nothing more core than breathing. When I was learning about the muscles, my teacher was very clear and kept reminding us that all your core muscles are breathing muscles. So really big inhale into the abdomen, lower back, lowest part of your abdomen, the side ribs, middle ribs, upper chest, upper back. Try to bring the breath into all those spaces. Sometimes I've had you take your hand, one hand on the chest, one on the abdomen. You do that breath and you can really kind of feel where you're lacking more of that breath, and you try to bring it in there so the hands can enhance your awareness there. If you're just joining, we're doing a little heart opener, restorative fish, laying over the bolster. Not a block today, because we're going to do something right after this. So guys, we are going to start in the active spinal flexion. Now, sometimes you hear starting in core work is aggressive. It is, but the way we're doing this, it's like a cat-cow. It's the exact same movement action of a cat-cow, but there's a lot more tension. So, think of it as a warm-up. You're not going for your peak compression or peak straining. You're just getting into that. So let me show you what we're going to do here, yogis. You're going to bring the soles of the feet on the floor. Now notice my hips are on the floor. You got to play with your pillow where it is in your spine to get this the most comfortable. I start to lift and I squeeze my chest toward my thigh. So there's my cat, right? Look, I start to arch my back slowly. There's my cow, same spine, right? Exhale, cat. Same exercise. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale. I'm going very slow though into the arching of the back, the anterior tilt of cow. Exhale actively into that cat today. Some people call it a crunch, right? Let's keep going. Now I know, this is a lot to start, but we've done it before. I actually learned this method from a professional athlete trainer. I watch his videos sometimes, and it's really good because you're taking your abs into like a further range. When you do a normal crunch, you kind of go like a neutral spine to flexion. Here we're going more to the flexion, the crunch's opposite action. So you're getting a longer tension of the muscle. You're going to get a better firing, let's say more quality go at these muscles. And it's very symmetrical in nature. Again, yogis do this action all the time, cat-cow. So you're more safer than someone coming off the street starting like this. Your spine is always an extension. You're doing your cobras, your anjanasanas, all right? Yeah, you're still going, right? You're trying to get into this a lot, okay? I mean, if you're feeling good and you wanted more, last maybe 30, 40 seconds, what you do is you take your right hand to your head. Don't twist deep, okay? You bring your left knee to your chest. You just tap the right elbow to the inner left knee or top of the knee. And then I just do this like little micro twist. Now again, it's okay to not do this part. We're gonna do twists. I like to keep one hand on my abs to really feel the muscles firing. I've tried to talk about that a lot, kind of enhancing neuromuscular connection, your perception of what you're working by whether it's your hand or just your mind feeling it. You feel what you're doing, you get better contractions. Do the other side. I know we're doing this for like 5 minutes, but you keep going if you got it. Now, naturally, your hips are in flexion there. And even though your spine is extending every round, now we got to hit that back body. You kind of think like your plank and then your up dog, right? Front body, back body. So what you do is you sit up off of your bolster when you're done, lay on your back, and we're just going to, you neutralize, you bring your knees in your chest. You do all that on your own because it's all regulars. I'm not going to say that as much. You neutralize sensations from previous position and then bridge, feet down, back body, okay? And you still kind of work pelvic tilt, don't forget. So you're pressing your lower back down to start, tilting your pelvis more with your core. That is cat. And then you press through your big toe and your heel, peel the body up. And then you close your eyes and you make it a potent mind, body, breath meditation. There's many ways to do the bridge. Some days you go right up and you hold. Right in the start of practice, you can say first position, bridge, hold, breathe, meditate. And then sometimes you go up and down. You don't really hold. Most days I have you go up slow, hold 15, 10 seconds, and then you lower down slow. And then you go back up again, you hold. So it's kind of middle ground. I like pulsing. If I'm feeling good, I would do one leg. You can do one leg cold. You can do one leg up, down. You can do one leg hold. You're keeping it up, right? And then you can do one leg pulsing. They're all really good. I tend to find that the combination of the three, kind of up, down, hold, and like a pulse, tends to fire the muscle the best for me. That's a really good way to take an exercise you do regularly and change it on the body. So it's kind of weird, like you do pull-ups a lot. You can like hold a middle pull-up. That will make you super strong, by the way. And then you could actually like pulse in a pull-up. It's like an exercise most people just go up and down, right? All right, so you did your nice, these are two really active poses, right? So I want a warm up for the core in the rotation. It's also representing our first big kind of release. Even though both of those are going to create release, yogis, when you activate, you do encourage other muscles to release, particularly with no extra weight. Now, I think we did this one on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, in our simple Sundays, but I want a core really big twist now. We'll meet with the knees into the chest, you'll drop them over to the right. Scoot your hips a little left, left arm over to the right, inhale, left arm up and open. So now we clear up, open the pathways of the rotation. All right, get into it. So always remember, it's like 3 planes of movement. All right, so we got the forward and back, side to side, and like rotational. We've really gone forward and back, and now we're going rotational. You're going to see the side coming up soon. Regardless of what you're doing, whether it's stretching or strengthening, or even things like cardio, like moving your body faster, good to remember those in your exercise routines. Don't just do exercise forward and back, because then, then life comes and you have to turn a lot, and that's not developed. The nervous system, the muscular strength, the joint stabilization, it could be very restricted. So always remember that our 3 planes of movement. It's called sagittal, that's forward and back. Some people say up and down. Coronal, that's side to side. And then there's transverse, which is like rotational, let's call it. Do your second side, please. I'd like you to get, there's no restriction here. It's a dynamic stretch. I'd like you to get to 12 to 15 of these, like really get into it to feel a change. And it's almost like you do it so much, it starts to almost not feel as good. It's almost like a fatigue and dynamic stretching. That's how I massage. So when I'm massaging, I've done about 10 hours in the last 3 days. I massage until I feel a change. Now, some people on massage, it takes minutes to feel a change. And some people, you're feeling the muscle release instantly. And then you go to the next part. You don't keep massaging a muscle that's already released. You might go a little deeper, look for the underlying structures at that point, but then that's how you exercise too. You try to notice what your intention is, the shift. If it's strength, you feel it tightening, fatiguing, straining. You work there for a few more moments, you stop. If you feel the stretch, you feel it release, you stretch till you feel the release, the change, and then you go to the next, whatever you're doing. Okay, so you're doing your second side twist. Now I'm going to get into the double leg swing because I noticed a lot of us didn't do the leg movement earlier. Our crunches, our bridges, and now we go for the lever. There's classic stuff here, guys. We took yoga core off last week, getting back to some fundamentals. I keep moving forward. So now, you know, if you want to keep it easy, hands down, head down, shoulders down, the key is as my lower back goes down, as my legs go forward, my lower back stays down. All right. So if you're feeling better, you go here, lower back down, lower back actively down. This is lighting up. Okay. Back in. Then you go forward. So it's back to linear. Let's tighten up the twist and release. You're feeling good. You do a little crunch and you go here. You're feeling great. Little pop of the pelvis. You're feeling athletic, arms and legs, opposites, watch, pelvis and chest, little pop. Last few. Nice. So what do you do? Do you go fast here? Do you hold? Do you go some movement? Can you pulse? Yes, all of it. Same applies. You can do dynamic, you can do static, or some people call it ballistic. It's like this little pulsing or very little movements all throughout your spaces. Try to look at through all these exercises. What do you always do? How do you always do it? Can you explore ways in using your body you don't normally? I'll say that again, keeping an open mind is key for growth. Too often yogis are following the common narrative without much critical thinking behind it. Yoga is not better than fitness, right? And fitness is not better than yoga. They're similar. And we can take tools from both. So listen, look, a lot of yous look like you're resting. That's normal. We're going to go into our first side body, and I'm going to keep it simple to start. I barely did anything. I can really feel my abs firing if you slow down enough. Okay? Listen, you roll onto your side. You know, they call this gentle side plank. It's not much weight. You're looking at like, I'm guessing like 40% of body weight here, 30 maybe, right? So it's doable. We're not going to hold long. We're not going to move. It's static to start. I don't want to see this, yogis. It's not fetal position. Look at the knees that pull back. The hips go forward. And lift the hips. I breathe. All right? If you're feeling good, you can start this, okay, where you're lifting the leg, but we're going to do abduction soon. I'm really using this a little bit more for the side underarm. You can feel it, the side waist, the hips. Take a few more breaths. If you want more, you're lifting the top leg. But again, I don't want anterior tilt and hip flexion. So what happens is people do this like this, and they don't notice. I did it in class the other day. We were doing yoga core in person at the Bay Club, and I explained that. I was in a mood that day, and I explained it, and I walked around. I said, okay, I explained it to it, and I started counting. I counted like 20 people still doing that. And it's very difficult to objectively observe yourself. And that's the heart of yoga. Okay, let's do our second side. You know, think of it like a plank. We're trying for about a minute, a little longer, depending on your strength, a little less maybe. So you roll onto your left forearm. This is supposed to stimulate the side body, the IT band, the glute medius, which is your main coronal pelvic stabilizer. The side waist, it's very obliques in nature. These side abs, it's underarm too, these ribs, lat. Get into it. And you just gotta engage muscles and hold. That's how muscle memory works. So basically, the longer you work on holding, the better it is for gaining strength. My sister got me my dog, Princess Leia is her name, and a mug as Princess Leia. What a gift, huh? So yogis, some of you are getting done there, right? You know, you're not going to be as strong on both sides, and that's okay. You got to kind of honor that, and you got to kind of push harder on the weaker side. I tend to be a little weaker on the left side in side planks. My left arm's a little weaker, and you know, that's okay. You just notice that and apply the practice accordingly, because you want to strengthen your weaker side more. We're going to meet on our back. You're going to take a neutralizing moment. We're going to do our second bridge, and this kind of ties together. It's the angled bridge. So it is outer body and posterior. So now we go outer posterior, just in case you're stuck in flexion there. So you know Konasana. So you're going to neutralize, happy baby. You're going to draw circles. You're going to do all that stuff on your own today. You're going to put the soles of your feet together, outer edge of the feet on the floor, butterfly, angle, Konasana. Arms go down wide to brace, think bridge, but press your big toe lightly together, outer edge of feet press down. And now we go for the static bridge hold. You can do movement here, but it's here. Now this is the trick. I don't want my knees going together. We're going to do adduction soon, actually. It's coming up at any moment. I want the knees to open, the hips to lift, but the key, guys, is posterior tilt. You know, this is like one of the supreme glute exercises, because we're extension, posterior tilt, abduction, and lateral rotation. That's all of it. You can't do more. The glutes will fire crazy here. Last few breaths, and I'm doing a little pulse. Now, people who are new to this one, you do want to be a little careful, because sometimes when you're activating the glute all around like that, it can feel like the soreness can feel like a little light back pain. You know, you can confuse soreness around certain areas for pain, and this is one that can kind of do that. So, you know, be easy. You know, we got a few more things to do here on the back today, a little extra of this stuff because it's really good. And if we're going to do it in any class, this is the one. Now you're done there, right? So you shake that out. And we're going to do the small little muscles quickly, guys. I want you to roll on. I'm on my right side. So regardless of what side you're on, I'm on my right, which means my right leg goes forward. Now, my left leg is out. What's nice is now this is actually stretching the outer hip, which worked in side plank and angled bridge. So that's a nice little add on there. But the main focus here is my right leg. Rotation, isolated. It's a really good one. It's really underdone in yoga, fitness in general. Watch me. My right knee doesn't lift. This is an active pigeon, by the way. If you notice, my body's almost in like a pigeon body form. I lower it down. I'm not going to get much movement. Look. You see it? I like to pulse. I like to go about half pulse. You got to get in there. You got to close your eyes and feel. Just in case you're having trouble seeing it, you're like this. You're rotating the hip. Remember, piriformis is a rotator, and that's a muscle that's often irritating on a lot of people. We don't want to just stretch that, okay? We want to try to dynamically strengthen it. We want to dynamically release it. You know, when I do this, actually, I tend to do this a little different. You know, what I like to do is when I go to clubs, they have those stretch out tables. I work with Equinox and Bay Club. They both have them. If you lay on like a table, the edge, you can let that foot hang off and you'll get way bigger rotation. Think of it as the same thing of doing your crunch on your bolster earlier to get more range. You can do that. You can put the edge of your knee here, you lay on your right, and the right leg starts to hang off, and your leg will go like that. So you're not going from here to here, you're going from here to here, and it fires really good. Okay, you do one round, and then you switch sides, please. You try to, the standard is like 15, 20 reps in something like this, because there's no weight, there's minimal. The only weight is your, the bones of your foot and your shin. All right, so you got to do a little extra reps to get that going. All right, go ahead, set it up, go slow, don't curl into a ball, please. Everyone's looking good. Don't lift the knee now. It might lift a tiny bit, but try to slow down and get that rotational quality from the hip joint. I want you to remember this one, guys, because you can do this on an off day. You're feeling really tired. You worked out hard. You're taking the day out. You do a couple light exercises, right? You can just lay on the floor and rotate the hip. You don't need much energy. There's not much strain here. I have this little list on my phone. It's like day off exercises, all these little things, right? Wrist training and neck training. Wow, class is almost half over. But we got to keep going now. So that's called the ladder rotation. Usually glute max considered strongest one. And then you're looking at the deep 6 lateral rotators. Your piriformis is the most famous there. All right, so that's a really good one if you have symptoms in the piriformis sciatica, piriformis syndrome. So let's finish that up, yogis. No rush getting there. And I want to go right to our adduction now. So I'm going to roll back on my right. Now this one's a little tricky. We always in yoga adduct static and like a lengthened abduction. This is neutral to dynamic adduction. It's very unique. It's a good one. I do it regularly on an off day usually. So left foot is in front of me. Got it? I'm not sticking my butt behind me. I'm in good posture. Look, I flex the right foot. Watch. I lift the inner right leg. Not going to get much range. I go down about half. Boom. You got to feel it. It's the inner right thigh. And then I start to pulse, feeling that inner thigh between the knee and the inner groin, the pelvic floor. Last few. This week, Hatha Yoga Thursday will be like big movements, some sun salutations, some big full body movements, because as you can see, it's not like a huge movement class. If you guys are familiar with this new emerging excellent style of exercise called Kinstretch, people take their joints through very slow ranges of motion. You do a 2-hour workshop, you never move big, fast, ever. And it's kind of similar here. It's very small movements, very subtle engagements. Okay, so you do your second side. Oh man, I can really feel that. Just did about 10 of those on the right side. If you do it well, guys, you don't got to do much. Okay. And that's the thing. The more you do it, the easier you're going to get what some people might call the pump. You can do like a couple push-ups and really feel everything, swelling, right? Pumping. But some people get new to pull-ups and push-ups. The muscles don't fire as well. Does everyone feel it? That looks good, guys. Everyone looks good. Just try to notice rotation, if your toes turn down and up. I'm not going to take the time to do all the things here, but don't forget, you can bring your leg a little back, turn the toes down and do it. And you bring the leg forward, turn the toes up and you do it. And you could spend all day with these just kind of leg lifts. So we only got about 3-4 more things on the ground. I'm going to stand you up. We'll do some different stuff. We do a plank and all that. So you're doing your second side. And then just to be clear, when I was young, I had a left groin injury in college. And I can still tell it. This one is a little more funky. I can still do it well, but it tends to
be a little bit more, doesn't fire as well, right? Because scar tissue restricts blood, it restricts electrical nervous system work here, right? So any scar tissue can really inhibit stuff, all right? Let's get on our back, get out of there. What? You know, I guess we just did leg swing. Let's do our meter rotation, please. Roll onto your chest. I'm doing one of each. You know, we're not doing multiple sets here, guys. One of each. Do it well. Right knee open. I'm doing my right first here, okay? Because when I rolled onto my right side, that was the first hip I rotated. I am on my chest. My right knee is extended directly out from my right hip. I do not lift my knee. I get my spinal length. See it? Think of it as the opposite rotation. Do it, please. I'm closing my eyes. I'm trying to really feel. Am I going all the way? I am contracting max, but I'm not going all the way down. I kind of mix it up. You know, I tend to go all the way down, like, and then up, halfway down, up, halfway down, up, and then I'll go all the way down almost. The easiest way to see that is say I'm doing like a bicep curl. I'll curl all the way. I'll go half, half, 3/4, 1/3. I don't always go the same. I will do some reps the same, but just be more well-rounded. All right. Don't do a repetitive pattern like going on autopilot. Do your second side, please. Looks like some of you are already going there. If you don't feel it, that's okay. You're teaching muscles to fire in ways you're not used to. That's normal. Yeah, Brian, try to get that knee out a little bit more. You want to reach your knee out. So, you know, it's kind of a funny one because you're stretching a little bit here too, the inner thigh, right? It's almost like a half frog. If you know frog pose, it's called crocodile in yoga too. But what can happen is that you're kind of almost laying on your right side here if your left knee's out. You want to try to really reach your left knee out, which brings the front of your left hip crease and groin and your left leg down more. So just in case, if I can try to show you, you know, people will be like here. See that? Watch. I bring it out, out. See that? So I'm like here as opposed to like here. See that? There's a subtle difference, hard to see. No worries. Let's not be crazy about doing this stuff perfect. You know, you get into these yoga classes, people obsessed with doing it perfect, the alignment, and you know, people, this perfectionism in yoga, it's just not healthy mindset. Because then they don't worry about the diet being perfect, right? They don't worry about sleep being perfect. And I think those two could be more important to be perfect than yoga poses. Never be perfect anyway, right? So listen, guys, I want you to finish up the hip rotation. Let's go for the big abs. We need the asymmetrical leg swing, right? We do it all in different ways in yoga. And we're going to go for that big core firing again, the abs. A lot of you didn't get your twisting abs. So we do the micro twist first, okay? You know it. It's like one of my favorites here. It's not really classic yoga, but it is. It's kind of like our poses. Now you lay on your back and you don't rotate, right? In the hips, the left leg swings up. It's going to be a dynamic hamstring stretch. Right hand toward left pinky. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. There's many different ways to do this, right? This. I have you repeating here. Go. So this is a serious core day.
I was laying in bed. I woke up and laid in bed with my pup and kind of half in a trance. And I was planning all my yoga class, and I said, all this was coming into my vision. Like, this is what you should do today. I try to use my intuition too. Just kind of sitting in a trance, all this stuff, what's coming to mind. No, this is what was coming to mind. It was very clear. Okay, what's the standard? You're brand new to it, you're going to do 6. You're injured, you're going to do 3 really slow. If you're feeling good, you're working towards 15, 20, and then you do the second side. And if you could do 15, 20 too easy, you got to slow down. It's not like you're swinging just to get it done. You're trying to contract your muscles better. It's almost like you're trying to teach to do less reps because you're engaging better. More is not better if the contractions aren't done well. Looking good, everyone. Nice, Stephen. So you don't have to do the twist too, right? Just in case, if you have back pain, you can just do kind of like legs, moving. You can kind of hold like a little crunch, and you can kind of crunch straight. When you're having back pain, you do want to just add extra caution. You don't want to irritate it more and more. You got to be in therapeutic rehab mode rather than push the body mode. So it's a tough one. It's hard to back off often for a lot of us. The science is clear, though, that doing too much exercise is better than doing none, right? So if you have to pick one, do too much, I guess. Now, there's your you did double leg swing, you did the single leg swing. We got our final little leg swing here, then we counter it with the final bridge. So this is the lateral. It's not really like a swing, but it's a leg lift. It's the lateral leg lift, okay? So roll onto your right. Now, this can be the lateral crunch too if you're going crazy fitness, right? When you teach an athlete stuff, you always give them the triple chain. The idea is like compound exercise, people call it, teaching your legs to work with your core, to work with your arms. They're not working individually, they're always learning to communicate better, okay? Work better. So it looks like this to start. You can bend your bottom knee. Am I curled into a ball? No. I told you, we do this one. We do this one. But I have the legs stacked today, okay? You want a little bit more? You could do this. See how it's a double? Last few. And then I like to hold too, right? You get up there and you hold it. Pulse it. You can do one or both. They're different, but similar. Second side, this is one you want to be a little careful with, right? Especially if you're doing the lateral crunch. Don't overdo this. Do a few reps. Get into your second side, please. And remember, there's no weight. If you're doing just lateral leg lifts, you do want to try to get to 15 or so. That's kind of like a good standard number to think about. I don't like to use numbers, but I just want to encourage you to try to get past like 5 or 10 even. The first 5 you're kind of getting into it. Second 5 it's shifting how the muscle's firing, and then that last 5 is kind of like maybe where you're fatiguing, and that's the last few you got to push through. So the last thing, I'm gonna just start demoing here. It's a bent knee and it's posterior symmetry. You can do one-legged, you can go crazy all day with all this stuff. I tend to keep it pretty simple. You add more if you need more, right? It's the sliding bridge. I wanna hit the hamstrings hard. This is a very unique thing. I do hamstring tests on people all the time, right? So I take my rubber bands, I put it around both heels, I have them do knee flexion. People's hamstrings, yogis, really fit yogis, really fit. My young guy friends, I do hamstring tests on them. They can only bilateral hamstring flexion 30 pounds. That is horrid. You know, when you do a test on me, I can do 150, 200 because I'm aware of the issue. So we're going to do it. It's a hard exercise. If it's difficult for you, that means you need it. All right, here we go. So you need your little towel. If you don't have a slippery surface, yogis, you might have to go into a different room for the 2 minutes, okay? This is an exercise. I want you to do like 2 rounds. After this, we're standing up, all right? If it's tough for you, and if you never get to do it because of where you practice yoga, go into a different room of your house. Get something slippery and do it. If you're on carpet, put plastic bags on your feet, okay? Now, it's bridge. The exercise looks like this. Now, I forgot to tell you, like, you know, some days you have people start like this, right? You hold bridge, you walk your heels forward. You hold bridge, you walk your heels more forward. That's really the start, okay? Then you go more forward. Did my heels ever drop? No, they're giving a little. Then they go more forward, okay? And then they slowly come back. That's kind of like a true start. Next true start, level 2 starter pack here is one leg. I keep one leg in bridge. I go forward. Boom. That's the exercise, the pull back. See my hamstring here? Pull back. See how it creates a ball? That's level 2. Level 3, more of the true exercise. Bilateral, 2-legged. You're here. You go forward. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Crazy mode is here. One-legged with the leg lift, okay? If you have a band, if you have your fitness bands, you throw it around your thighs because that's way better. You got to get into this one, guys. Now, what you got to look out for is anterior tilt. Your back wants to dump into an arch. I have been trying for a year and a half to teach you posterior tilt and hip thrust. Posterior tilt is cat hips, tailbone between the legs, pulling the belly in, taking the arch out of the back. It's very likely you're going to drop an anterior tilt here, which is going to strain the back more. I need you to remember that. Keeping posterior tilt here is not easy, but it pays. It's good. So try to remember that. Everyone's looking good, okay? You're new to it. What do we do? 3 to 6? You take a break, you do 3 to 6 again. You do 3 rounds, 3 to 6. You're good at it. You're working towards 9, 12. The standard's more like 15. Let's say. Come on. If it's awkward, you're doing it correct now, yogis. It's not going to be easy. A little injured there today, Brian? You all right? Yeah, I know. Some days, right? And if you can't do this today, no big deal. Just remember it and do it on a good day when you're exercising. You know, if you need to just, you're hoping to do some stretching today and you wish it was simple Sundays or hatha yoga today, it's okay. I don't mind if you do sun salutation, you do a nice stretch here. That's cool. You know, you do your thing. I'm gonna give you another minute here, guys. Get into it. Come on now. Basically, the worst state of a muscle, to keep it very simple, is what's called weak and tight. So your muscle can be tight and weak. You know, a lot of times tightness of muscles is considered, you think you normally associate tightness with strength, right? Like an athlete, a weightlifter, their muscles are very tight, but they're strong. But you can get a muscle that's tight and weak, and that's about as bad as it gets. You know, it's better to have a muscle probably be movable and weak, or I mean, the ideal is movable and strong. It's like the opposite, right? It can lengthen and shorten. It can create range and stabilize the ranges. Um, and the hamstring is one of those muscles that tends to be tight and weak. I remember learning this, and there was a few years back, and I tell you, you strengthen those hamstrings. It really it releases the lower back a lot. It can help release your hip flexors a lot. It makes the knees more stable, the hips more stable. You walk different. You're not going to be frontline dominant. Can change the gait. So it can pay a lot of just like functional benefits here. So listen, guys, I want you to finish that up. I got to keep going here because we're almost out of time. And what you do is here, you take your knees into your chest and you got to shake that out. That's a tough one. We did the dynamic hamstring swings and should have opened up that a little bit for you. So let's neutralize. When I see most of you neutralizing, I'll move forward. So I meant to say, you get those little rubber bands that go around your thighs. I love to do the sliding bridge with that. I also like to do quite a few exercises we do in yoga with those, because it just adds more muscle, like well-rounded muscle engagement. If you don't have those, you got to get those, because they're really the most simple tool to keep your hips and legs strong. They fit in the palm of your hand, right? So let's make our way up to seated, please. And what we're going to do is kind of like, we did all this stuff, and I want you to kind of tighten it up with a plank hold. So you're going to make your up to seated. You might want a cat cow. You might want a down dog or a chaturanga or a child pose. So you might throw all those in there. I teach those every yoga class. I'm going to skip them today. All right. So like I said, child pose, cat cow, down dog, chaturangas, cobras. You take a good minute there. Maybe circle the core, whether you need release or activation. And then I want you to think about like just kind of bringing it all together and like tightening up the whole body and just maintaining, right? Because we didn't hold hollow bodies today. It was all dynamic when we were doing the core. I wanted to do a little bit more, but we're going to move forward for time's sake. So plank. Whenever you're ready, we're going to try to hold, the standard is you're looking at like a minute and a half. What's the saying? It's like, if you can hold for 2 minutes, easy. Easy is key though. If it's a struggle for you to get to 2 minutes, then you keep holding. But once you can hold for like 2 minutes, you start to do more difficult things. Say you only have a half hour to work out. You're going to spend 5 minutes doing a plank. There's probably better ways to use your time. Planks are really good for certain days, beginners, people trying to build that compound strength. But if you can hold it a long time, you want to think about hovering a leg. You want to think about a balancing plank and adding more asymmetries and unstable focuses. You can even do things like serratus push-ups. You can just do push-ups. That's basically a plank. I usually hold handstand if I'm going to hold plank. If I'm feeling up to it, I do push-ups or handstand or balancing plank. All right. So let's get into it, please. For time's sake here, I got two, standing things I definitely want to do. So please get your plank going. I'm really going to have you all one round. So make it a good one, please. And you can move in your plank. You want to do a little twisting plank, you want to do a side plank, it's fine. But quality muscular engagement, please. When I work with certain people, I would tell them plank is fantastic exercise, do it regularly, right? And then there are other people, if I work with personally, I would say plank is not good, don't do it. It's funny to think, I find myself being like that. It's almost like, it's like two different opinions based on the context of the person and the situation. So it's not black and white like that. you know, even as a person's going along, hey, you done plank for 2 years. Okay, let's do something different. Let's not do plank anymore for a month or 2 or 3 or a year. So even for the same person, that'll change. Okay. If you want to take it down to your chest, some of you are starting to drop out and take a little cobra and up dog. You can, and it's good. I try to do the active cobras, and I pretty much do stretchy cobra most days, even if it's just one or you only have so much time. Do you need an active cobra? You need a strengthening cobra, or do you need that stretchy cobra type? So yogis, I do want to take you up to standing eventually. So no matter however you want to get there, walk, touch your toes for a few breaths, shake it out there. Maybe you need a little yogi squat, or you want to stand up and kind of, you know, twist it out, shake it out. So I do want to do one quick round of our squats. You know, if I had to pick, you guys know it, if I had to pick a handful, 5 exercises, squat probably be in there. Now, you make it complex, but let's get a nice round of air squatting in. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Let's call that like basic. Another nice basic, one of my favorites we did on Sunday is the Kriya. You got to get the arms moving more. When we were on our back, the arms weren't moving much, and you just held the stiff plank. So moving your arms might be good. Another one of my favorite things to do, if I have less time, is I get in my here. Remember I had you do this a lot? And about a month ago, right, I had you doing this. It's that same idea. You holding a squat is often called chair posture in yoga. Going up and down in squat is called squat kriya. You can do this kriya where you do like a breath of fire, and it's like a pulse. It's that same thing. If you always hold chair, if you always squat moving, do the opposite, or go in between, do a little movement. Now, what I like to do is now I'll step my feet wider, and then I do my squats. Or I'll step my feet closer, or I'll step one foot in front of the other. That's called a sagittal squat. Okay. So one foot is a little in front. You go far enough, you're in a lunge. I also like to do transverse squats like goddess. I'll turn my feet way out, open and wide. I'll also do a medial squat, looks like this. So you get a little funky with your squatting. You don't get stuck in this little developed path. You explore. You can do toe balance squats too. Last few moments, please. I like to do jump squats. If I'm feeling athletic, I'll kind of jump, and it's killer for cardio. So, you kind of jump a little bit. You land soft, see? I am jumping right now. And I'll jump and pulse, jump and pulse. I'm getting very athletic and fitnessy now though, okay? Not doing, a lot of weight bearing exercise. So you got to get it in. It's kind of breaking my own rules, right? So you shake that out, right? After you're done. And I want to do a balance exercise. We got to get everything stabilized too. That's another thing you got to do. So you're here, easiest, stronger, similar, stronger, even so. So I'm kind of saying, yogis, you're all regulars. Balance exercise. Here, stronger. We call it warrior 3, right? You could do balance movements like this. What's one balance you want to do? Nice. Wobble board is always amazing. Just in case, I know you guys know, but this is one of my other favorite exercise we have like 3 of them at the house, I have one for my clients, Carol has one and I have one personally, and you keep them all over. And it's funny, you have kids at the house, they just tend to stand on this thing. You just keep it in the living room and they just tend to stand on it. And little do they know, they're training their neuromuscular body for better longevity. So look at this. The first thing is called like the so you don't let the sides go down. You're going to be new at the sides are going to go down. You don't let it, okay? But then eventually, look, active, boom, forward, back, outer, inner, and then it's circular. Okay, so I try to buy local as much as possible, but I still use Amazon, and it's $20 on Amazon. God, that's a good investment to get. Okay, and then you do your second side. Last minute here, yogis. Nice, Kev, little lateral movement there. I love that one, that lateral tilt. Nice, Brian. Everyone's looking good. You're coming off injury. You do your tree. You do some very linear, slow. And you get more athletic with this stuff as you're feeling better, okay? And don't forget, if you're doing the wobble board, see 1 or 2 of you doing that, right? It's also good to do 2 feet. Look, so anti, and then forward, back, and you get into it, back, right corner, front, left. It's like surfing, right? I have an Indo board too. I never broke that out to show you, but it's a big wheel that I put a surfboard on, and you're on it, and you're like, whoa. I have all the stupid toys, all right? Make a good surfer, though. So, listen, yogis, we got 5 minutes left. We did a lot. We did well. We did the back body pretty good. Did the front body great. Did the side body nice today. Did the rotational body pretty good. So I'd like you to take last few moments here. And I'm thinking like a stretch to end. You don't got much time. Do you need a pigeon, figure 4? Did rotational stuff, not necessarily. Inner thigh might be a good stretch, a little seated straddle forward fold. A frog pose, a virasana. I want you to just notice, like, do you always do the same darn stretches over and over? You see it so much in yoga. When I give freedom in big classes, everyone goes the same old stretches. And, I like to remind people, so I'd like you to get into a stretch when you get there, okay? I'm asking you to pick a stretch today, just do a stretch. Kind of meditate, slow down. We did a lot, busy class, very active. So I wanted to remind you of this thing. You've heard this term, you say, not all pain is created equal, right? You're trying to discern and learn kind of, if you ever injured yourself, you go through rehab, physical therapy, it hurts, right? To rebuild. Well, not all pain is equal. There's the good ache, there's bad pain too, right? But I want to remind you this, that not all joy is created equal. Not all feeling good is created equal. There's good joy, and at the same spectrum, there's bad joy, like gluttony, and not all pleasure is created equal. So the short-term pleasure of eating something might not be, that joy isn't created equal to doing something good for somebody. Just an example. So you want to remember that in stretching too. You have back pain and you always just forward bend. That joy isn't the same as some other good stretch feelings. That's another part of this is, looking at it all objectively. If you get too subjective, you're always obsessed with making it feel good only. And I've said this a lot. Some yogis say, don't do it if it doesn't feel good. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. Half of it's that, 3/4 maybe. You gotta get into the uncomfort. All right. You have to learn to be brave and go there and work in that space on certain days when you're up for it. Okay. Not every day. You're having a bad day, you're stressed, tired. You do good stuff, right? Good day. You scare yourself a little. You sprint up a hill. What scares you? I sprint upstairs and I squat with weight. Those scare me. I have to go there and be like, oh my God, I have to go do this right now. It's awful. But when I get done, it's the best. All right. I did it. I did the thing that intimidates me. All right. So listen, yogis, one more stretch, maybe a spinal twist. If you want to lay over a block or anything else, some of you are doing chaturangas and down dogs. That's awesome. That's all release work too, right? So one more little stretch, but it's almost about 10 here. I got to get you into meditation. Maybe it's good too here to just come back to your breathing, not too much focus on that today. So just a reminder, Thursday will be kind of a little bit more like our classic hatha yoga, some big, nice movements. The leg swings kind of represent our lunges today, and no lunges, that's weird. Not too much hinges, the leg swings kind of working that too. So, we'll get back to our fundamentals and more classic yoga on Thursday. So you're going to finish up this last stretch and you know what to do, just kind of seated or laying meditation. I was telling the story, I was trying to heal my body, my Achilles, and I was doing a seated meditation the other day, midday. I live in a pretty busy area. It can get loud a little bit sometimes, midday and traffic hour. And, I put earplugs in when I meditate. And then I'll also tape my mouth and put my blindfold on. I have a special blindfold that blacks out all light. It's really an incredible experience. If you've never done it, do it a few times. Don't judge it based on your first try. Sense withdrawal, it's called. Okay, so closing meditation, please. You did a lot. Rest your body for a few moments. We worked hard. Final closing position.